Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Trained with the Akatsuki, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Was he really that good? Saru asked Haburi as they stood together watching the gates of Konoha open. Haburi smiled. Yes, he was. Second best I've ever taught. Second. Saru looked a bit puzzled. Who's the first? You are. Haburi said, patting Saru on the back. Saru was now 12 years old ever since a few days ago. He sure had grown. He was now a Junin. He was also still taking lessons with Haburi. His memory had increased a lot ever since he first came to Konoha. He now basically knew anything that wasn't human. He was so close to finding out what had happened in the past. Saru and Haburi as well as many people from Konoha were waiting for some guests. The three shinobi entered through the gates into the village of Konoha. Ru, Kyosuke, and Ketsu, the new Tenushihai. They made their way over to Haburi. Haburi stepped forward and hugged his former student. Hey Ru. My how you've grown, Haburi said with a large smile. My how you've aged, Ru said jokingly. Haburi laughed as Ru noticed Saru. Who's this? This is Saru, we found him almost 3 years ago. He's been my apprentice ever since, Haburi said. Ru squatted down a bit, until he was eye level with Saru. Then he looked straight into Saru with piercing eyes. Ru's face was so serious it intimidated Saru a bit. After what seemed like ages, Ru stood back up a bit and looked straight at Haburi. Can we talk for a moment? Sure, Haburi said. Well. If it isn't Ketsu. I've heard so many stories about you. Haburi then turned his attention to Kyosuke and Ketsu. I came back, just for a little bit. Ketsu said, not even managing a slight smile. This is Kyosuke, Ru said, introducing the red-haired pirate and the Hokage. They shook hands as Haburi said, make yourselves at home. If you'll excuse me. Ru and Haburi then walked off to the Hokage's building alone. Finally inside, Ru got straight to business. An apprentice. Another one. I don't care what you think of him, Ru. I have faith in him. He has much more potential than you think. Haburi said. Old man, I don't think you should continue this. We are in dangerous times right now. You never know what could happen. Ru said. He's been with us for 3 years, and he has not shown any sign of treachery. Haburi said. How can you be Hokage and a sensei at the same time? You have to be careful. Don't worry about me. Just take my word on this. Haburi said, attempting to reassure Ru. No, I don't like him. When I looked into his eyes, I saw something. I just don't know what it was. But it wasn't good. He's hiding something, Ru said, crossing his arms. I would have found it out by now if he was. Haburi argued. He's a good boy. A strong one too. He's 12 and already a Junin. At that age I was already Anbu. Ru said. Don't trouble yourself over this. I want to know how you have been. It's been so long. Haburi said. It has. Speaking of dangerous times, have you ever had to use? Haburi trailed off because Ru already knew what he was talking about. Ru bowed his head in shame. Yes I have. You will be disappointed in me for hearing this. But it was against Ketsu. What? Haburi shouted, totally caught by surprise. We were training, all 3 of us. It was Ketsu and Kyosuke against me. Just when Kyosuke hid somewhere in the trees, Ketsu and me went at it, both trying really hard to beat each other. I guess I got carried away, and I used the move. How is he alive? Haburi asked. He used his ultimate defense along with the total aid of Kyosuke. He survived with 2 holes in his chest. I never used that move other than that time. But I can assure you that I'm better now. I've trained myself. I won't get carried away ever again. I'll only use that move under specific circumstances, Ru said. Haburi sighed. You're strong, Ru. Stronger than you realize. You're the one who has to be careful. Just how strong is that rockish arm of his? Exactly how powerful is he? Ru asked. Even though you were at a higher position, he is stronger than when you were his age. He is probably the last of his clan, the Amatari clan. In his clan, everybody has one of their arms like he does. It emits a light that can practically go through anything. They can also control where the light goes. I don't believe he's old enough to use it. But I do know this, his clan is gone for a reason. About 15 years ago, they were all K because they were using their powers and revolting against different villages. They would travel many places, and leave destruction wherever they went. Finally, the Mizukage, Hokage, and Tsuchikage got together. They had all been affected by this clan. They came to a conclusion. This clan was too much of a danger to be kept alive. They had to be taken out. So a few elite members from each main village were selected to go and assassinate the whole clan. There must have been survivors. But if he's the last of their clan, then he can't really do much. Haburi said. How do you know all this? Ru asked. Because I was one of the few selected from Konoha to go and assassinate them. Haburi said in shame. Even though there were many of us from each village, they put up a huge fight. So much power, there was death everywhere that day. Look Ru, you're just going to have to deal with this. Please. Ru was silent for a moment. I am completely against this, but, if it's okay with you, I'll let it pass. Haburi smiled. Now go with your friends. Enjoy your time here. How long will you be staying? Not long. I just came to visit for a day. I wanted to congratulate you for making Hokage. Ru said. We'll be out of here tonight. What? Why don't you stay a night? I would be grateful if you stayed. Haburi said. I suppose I could convince Ketsu to stay a night. Although he won't sleep. He doesn't sleep much at all these days. Especially since I mentioned that we were going to Konoha. He's hated this place ever since, you know. Ru said. Yes, a true tragedy. Haburi said. Well, I'm going to go now. Ru said as he left the Hokage building. Where's Saru? Haburi asked himself. Little did Haburi or Ru know that Saru was closer than they thought. No, absolutely not. I can't stay here, Ru. Please understand that. I lost a father here. This place is S to me. Ketsu said, shaking his head. I know, but please, just do it for me. You can't hold a grudge forever. Why do you blame Konoha? Was this village supposed to protect Jiraiya from dying? Ru argued. No. Then why are you still like this? Let the past be the past, and let the future be the future. You can change the future, but the past is already done. Why not try to make the best of it? Ru asked. The past is what molds the future. My past is what molds my future. I choose not to come back to the village because it brings back my past. It's something that I can't escape. You said that the past is already done, meaning that I can't change what happened. That's why I can't stay in this village, because every second I'm in here, I'm reminded of that. Ketsu said, heading for the door. Ru sighed. Where are you going? I won't be resting tonight. I'll be on the rooftop. I have some things to think about. Ketsu said. You need to get over it. Ru said coldly. Ketsu only shot Ru an ice-cold, deathly stare and the door behind him. Way to go, Ru. Ketsu's right. His past is what hurts the most. And this village makes him relive it. You are only making him feel worse. Why do you two always have to be fighting? Kyosaku asked. He needs to learn to forgive and forget. Ru said. Some don't heal as fast as others, Ru. Have you forgotten about Guru already? Kyosaku asked. Of course not, but that is the past, we are the Tenushihai now. We have to deal with that. Ru said. You try to act tough, but you only make yourself look like an insecure fool. You did the wrong thing talking to Ketsu like that, admit it. I'll be outside with Ketsu. Kyosaku said, angrily leaving the room. Ru sighed. Ever since Ketsu joined them, they had been having problems. But that didn't mean that they hated each other. They were like siblings. It was normal to fight. But this time, he might have gone too far. Bringing up Jiraiya was always a very sensitive subject to Ketsu. But now coming back to relive his past, it must have hurt. Ru didn't help with his cold talk with Ketsu. Kyosaku was right, he needed to apologize. He headed for the rooftop, finding Kyosaku closely huddled together with Ketsu. When Kyosaku saw Ru, she decided it was time to take her leave. He headed inside to get some sleep, patting Ru's back on her way back. Ru slowly made his way beside Ketsu. He sat down close to him, but not as close as Kyosaku sat. They both sat there in total silence, leaving everything unspoken, silently listening to the cool breeze in the atmosphere. Ru was the first to speak. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said what I said, and I'm deeply sorry for having done that. Ketsu didn't look at Ru, but stayed the way he was, staring into the moonlight. What's done is done. You can't change what you said. I came up here to ask for your forgiveness. I went too far. I know that this village brings back painful memories for you. But I didn't understand. I remember how it was when we lost Guru. I was practically in denial for weeks, remember? I hated you. I couldn't accept you. I resented Kyosaku for accepting you so easily. But I know it was hard for her too. But finally, I was able to put Guru's death behind me. Only after that, was I able to call us three the Tenushihai. I am still sad to this very day of what happened to him. But life goes on, and so must we. Guru paused for a moment, waiting for a reaction from Ketsu, but received nothing. Life is a fragile thing. It can be given in 1 second, and taken the next. That's why we have to be prepared for everything, the good and the bad. You can't let your past get the best of you. I know it's not easy, but that's why we have to try. Ketsu was still silent. He finally spoke after a few minutes of complete silence. Apology accepted. I'm also sorry for the way I've been. All this time, I've been blinded by my past. But we always come out on top, don't we? Guru said, smiling as Ketsu smiled back. He then stood up. Come on, let's get some sleep. I'll come down later, I'm not ready yet. Ketsu said softly. Guru nodded and headed back inside, leaving Ketsu by himself in the moonlight. After finally about a few hours into the night, Ketsu stood up and went inside to sleep. It had begun to rain, so he hurried to enter. He finally was able to make peace with the village, and put the past behind him. Jiraiya was but that's why he remained alive. There was one other man when Ketsu fought Sora. He would find him, and kill him. Saru dashed from tree to tree, speeding up with each passing second. He was not allowed to leave the village alone, but he had been doing it for weeks already. He would use all the time he could to kill any animal he could find, gaining a piece of his memory back. The process was painful, but he needed to know. He wanted to know where he belonged. His total perspective on life was changed with this day. He could not believe that Haburi had killed his clan members. The idea was so painful that Saru did not want to think about it. But he couldn't stop. 15 years ago, he wasn't born yet. So his mother must have survived and gave birth to him 3 years later. The question was, where was she? If she had survived, then there must have been others. Where was his father? Saru then went back to the memories that he had gained over time. That's not how you do it. A boy laughed, pointing at Saru practicing punches out in a field. The boy was much older than Saru, probably twice his age. He had brown hair and dark blue eyes, just like Saru did. Saru then threw a small fit, shouting, "Well, why don't you show me how to do it then? Because sometimes you have to learn on your own," the boy said with a big smile on his face. "I hate it when you say that," Saru said, frowning, crossing his arms. "Learn to deal with it. When you get it right, then I'll stop saying it. Practice makes perfect, Saru. So practice," the boy said, patting Saru on the head. Saru had gained much more of his memories over the years. They showed of the next few weeks, finally leaving off at an intense point. Saru sneakily followed the older boy one day, only to find out that the older boy had met up with 2 suspicious people. They were both men, one standing taller than the other. They both wore large black cloaks that covered everything, including their faces. "You have proved that you are strong," the taller man said. "So does that mean I'm in?" the older boy asked with a hint of hope on his face. "Not quite," the shorter man said. "You may be strong, but we do not know your level of loyalty. To kill a random person, that takes guts. But to kill someone close to you, that will secure your place with us. Do you have anyone in mind? Name a person, and the deal is done," the older boy said. Both cloaked men were silent for a moment. Then the shorter man whispered something brief in the older boy's ear. The older boy seemed to be very sad from what he was told, but he simply said, "Very well. I'll do it. It'll be taken care of. Meet me here tomorrow at nightfall." They both nodded and they parted. Saru ran back to the house before he was caught by the older boy. The next day, the older boy seemed to be very down. Saru went up to him and asked, "What's wrong?" The older boy then said, "Nothing. Listen to me, if anything were to happen to Mom, Dad, and me, you would be on your own. You would have to take care of yourself. Do you understand that?" Saru merely nodded, thinking nothing of what was really said. The older boy then got up and left the room. That was where the memory had ended for Saru. He felt as if he was so close. Finally, Saru got to the training grounds that he always went to for all the time he had spent in Konoha. He spent the rest of the night killing as many animals as possible to regain as much memory as he could. He hardly gained anything and headed back to Konoha before dawn, disappointed. At this rate, it would take months to get the information he needed. He needed to kill something bigger. He needed to kill something human. The mere thought of it made Saru shiver. If he was going to do it, it had to be soon. He could not wait. He knew he was strong, but he had never gone at anybody with intent to kill. He could not wait, he had to do this. It was either now or never. The question was who. If he did not kill someone strong, then he might not get all the memory he needed. He needed to target somebody extremely strong, but somebody he could take. Also, after having done this deed, he would have to leave Konoha, for good. They would be looking for him, but he needed this information. He did not have any patience in the matter. After finally having arrived at Konoha, he had made his decision. He was going to kill Riku Haburi. It was only fair. Haburi killed all of Saru's clan. He had the right to take Haburi's life. He didn't know if he could kill his sensei, but he was definitely willing to try. So many thoughts rushed through Saru's mind as he entered the village. His heart raced faster with every step he took that brought him closer to Haburi. He had to do this. There was no turning back now. Finally, Saru was in Haburi's bedroom, watching Haburi sleep peacefully in his bed. Haburi. Get out of your bed and fight me. Saru screamed, whipping out AK. Haburi got up right away and turned on the light. Saru, what are you doing here? This is no time to train. Go back to sleep. This isn't training. I'm going to kill you here. You will right here in your bedroom. Tonight is the night that Riku Haburi was killed by Amatari Saru. What are you talking about, Saru? Haburi asked, standing up cautiously. After I kill you, I will leave this place. I'm not lying. I'm ready to kill you right now. Saru said. A small tear dropped from Haburi's left eye as he spoke. Saru, I can't believe this. Why? Because you killed my clan. And because of you, I have nothing left. Nothing. Haburi bowed his head in shame. My own apprentice came to visit me in the middle of the night, to kill me. He said sadly. Saru stood silent there holding the K in his hand. But after a few moments he spoke once more. Old man, I respect you, not as a friend, not as a sensei, but as a father. But nothing can stop me from doing this. I have to find out. Find out what, Saru? What have you been hiding from me all these years? Haburi asked. Every time I kill something, I regain a piece of my memory back. So that's what I've been doing all these years, K. But the bigger the animal, the bigger the memory I received. That's why I'm here now. I can't wait any longer. Old age has finally dawned upon you. You are not as strong as you were when I first met you. After about a year and a half, I began to realize this. So I held back on all our training. With Kimetsu as well. If I do this, then I'll figure out what I need to do. There are survivors of my clan. My brother, mother, and father. Ku will give me exactly what I need. I'll have enough to find him. What if it's not enough? Haburi asked. Haburi's voice sounded a little raspy. Then I will have to continue. Not in Konoha, but anywhere I go. I will not stop until I have everything I need. Saru said. So get ready, old man, because the time for talk is over. Saru, even though shinobi may be devastated sometimes, they have to continue. If you are serious about this, and come at me with a real intent to kill, then I will have to do the same. It grieves me greatly that I did not get to teach you all I know. But that may be my key to survival. But know the risk you are taking by attempting to kill me. You will either be killed, or be chased down for the rest of your life. Is that what you want? Haburi asked. No, I want a life with my clan. I believe that there is still hope for us yet. I will do all I can with all my power and strength. Obstacles that get in my way will be overcome. And right now, you're an obstacle. As I said before, I think of you as a father, so notice how determined I am. Riku Haburi, tonight you will know that I will miss you forever. Saru said. With that, he charged. But before reaching halfway to Haburi, the room suddenly changed. Saru was able to dodge the 50 that came at him, leaving all the bamboo spears stuck halfway through the ceiling. Saru looked around to find Haburi, but he was nowhere to be found. Saru didn't have much time to react to Haburi's disappearance because right after that one of the 4 walls exploded. Amazingly, boiling water rushed in about to engulf Saru. Saru performed a few hand seals quickly and shouted as he put his hands out in front of him, Kakuheiki no Jutsu. Suddenly, a wall made of freezing ice appeared, stopping the boiling water completely. The ice wall reached from one side of the room to the other, not allowing even a single drop of water pass. But the problem was, the ice wall was melting. However, Saru didn't create a wall made of ice for nothing. He then concentrated a certain amount of chakra in his right hand, which was an open palm. With that, he struck the ice wall, sending it forward, pushing the water out of the room before it melted. He quickly formed a few hand seals with his good arm and placed it on the sea, shouting, Kaji no Jutsu. The sea disappeared completely as if it were never there. Saru then jumped forward, dodging the attempted Haburi did from behind Saru. I'm surprised you managed to survive my genjutsu and get out of the trance fast enough to dodge my attack. Haburi said as Saru faced him. But you still have much to learn. Just then Saru widened his eyes as he felt AK go into his back from behind him. He slowly turned around to see a second Haburi there. Smart, Saru said as he fell down to the ground. Poof! The Saru disappeared, leaving the 2 Haburis completely alone in the room. Boom! Saru crashed through one of the walls from outside with a side kick, flying at Haburi. It disappeared as Naruto flew through the smoke, not losing momentum. The real Haburi in the back of the room managed to dodge Saru's flying kick. But when Saru reached the wall, he pushed off it, sending him back again. He attempted to punch Haburi while in the air, but it was a dumb idea. Haburi caught the punch and threw Saru out from where the boy had come. He followed after, leading the battle outside the room. Saru landed on his feet on a rooftop somewhere in the village. He almost slipped from all the rain that was going on. It was pouring heavily, already soaking Saru as if he had been out there for hours when he was only out for a few seconds. Haburi was out right behind him, landing on the same rooftop Saru was on. How do you plan on finding your family? Haburi screamed over the downpour. That doesn't concern you. Saru screamed back. He charged once again, this time using taijutsu. He tried to kick Haburi on the top of the head, bringing his leg down, but it was easily blocked. So while in the air, Saru swung his other leg around, trying to kick Haburi's face. Haburi stepped back quickly, avoiding the fast kick. He then jumped even farther back, all the way to another rooftop. You're serious about this, aren't you? Haburi asked once again very loudly. Saru didn't say anything. He only nodded slightly with a look of determination on his face. I have to Taijin. That's the first time you've ever called me that. Haburi said, smiling a bit. That will also be the last. Saru screamed, jumping across, rushing at Haburi. Suddenly, Haburi was in a room that had no windows and no doors. But it wasn't dark, yet there wasn't any light. It was a completely empty room, with red walls. Genjutsu won't work on me, Saru. Haburi screamed, punching himself in the stomach to get out of it. But he remained in the room. But it still did not get him out. Just then, the red walls began to close in on Haburi quickly. How can this be? Haburi asked out loud. How can you know such a powerful genjutsu? I have not taught you at this level before. Saru's voice then came out of nowhere, saying, I told you that I have been holding back. Right before the walls closed in to crush Haburi's body, he shouted, Hazumi no Jutsu. Haburi looked around. He was exactly where he wanted to be. He was on the tallest building of Konoha, now looking down at Saru, who was very far from him, looking around. Saru finally spotted Haburi and disappeared, and was facing Haburi in less than a second. That's some speed, Saru. I remember when you couldn't even outrun my old bones. Haburi said, smiling once more. Yes, but I'm much past that now. Saru said. How did you do that? To be honest, I didn't even know if it would work. But I'm glad it did. Apparently, that level of genjutsu is still new to you. To have a genjutsu that's strong, you must first have a lot of chakra. Secondly, for beginners at that level, you can only use it when in contact with the opponent. That's why I used a trusty jutsu of mine to warp away from you and onto here, breaking away the contact. That was when you triggered the genjutsu. That was very impressive, Saru. Haburi said. Don't compliment me. I'm trying to K you. Do you think this is some kind of game? Saru asked, screaming at the top of his lungs. You don't think this is hard for me? Trying to K your own father is pretty hard to do, you know. Why can't you just fight back with all you've got so I can do it easier? Why do you have to go back to all these things and smile? Nobody said that K would be easy, Saru. But I understand where you're coming from. There are other alternatives. You can find your clan some other way. Allow me to help you. I swear that I will use everything in my power to help you find them once again. K is not the answer, Saru. You must realize that. Haburi shouted. No. It's too late for me to turn back now. I must go through with this. I must K you. Or be K by you. I can't stand this anymore. Saru was enraged that after all he had said and done to Haburi he was still willing to help him. He couldn't control his temper, screaming demonically at the top of his lungs. Suddenly, Saru's rock arm emitted a small ball of light that floated in the palm of his hand. Saru stopped screaming to stare at the tiny glow. He then looked at Haburi, who now had a face of fear. He then remembered Haburi saying something about the ball of light going through practically anything. He decided to test it out. Saru found out that he was able to control the ball of light with some difficulty. But it would move where he wanted it to move. After playing around a little, he sent it straight for the building he was standing on. The ball of light touched the rooftop and the whole building exploded, forcing Saru and Haburi to move to a different rooftop. Saru was shaking from the fear and excitement he was feeling. He felt power surging through his veins. He then created another ball of light, but he then directed it toward his opponent, Riku Haburi. Haburi ran for his life, but Saru was right in the end. Old age had caught up. After a few minutes of running, Haburi was incinerated at that moment, ending his life. The battle was over. Saru then fell to his knees in pain, clutching his head as a large piece of memory came to him. That same night, Saru was out playing in the grass, later than usual. When he felt tired and dirty, he decided to head home. It was already nightfall, the time the two men and the boy decided to meet. Saru headed home, but when he arrived, he did not find the boy anywhere. He then headed to his parents' room, to find something he never would have imagined. Saru watched as a small ball of light appeared from the boy's rock arm and went into Saru's father, blowing him up to pieces. Sora! Saru screamed, referring to the boy who had K Saru's parents. Why did you have to K mommy and daddy? Saru asked with tears in his eyes. The boy named Sora walked over to Saru and crouched down. It was a test of faith, Saru, and I passed it. When you are older, I want you to look for me. Understand, Saru, that we are the future, we are the strong, not them. I'm leaving you here by yourself. I know this may hurt, but you'll understand one day. Power is more than it seems. With that, Sora left the house with the two cloaked men. That was the end of the memory. The pain was gone, leaving Saru laying in the rain on a rooftop. He stood up looking around. He could never return. He had acquired what he needed. He would look for his brother. He didn't know what to think of it. He wanted to restore his clan, but Sora wanted to destroy it. He would have to figure everything out once they met. Saru decided to start looking for his older brother at the very beginning. He would head to his old house. Saru left the village in the middle of the pouring night, with no adults, and this time for good. Amazing Naruto, Kisame said, panting. You have managed to beat me and Zetsu in a 2-on-1 battle. You are beyond our level now. Probably the strongest Akatsuki member there is. Naruto smiled. He was extremely exhausted, but he did not show it. He only looked pretty beat up, but not tired. I'm just glad to be back, Kisame-san. By the way, where is my Neopaksu and Itachi-san? They'll be back shortly, Zetsu said, sitting down on a small boulder, also gasping for air. They have been training Hinata. She has grown very strong as well, Naruto. She has more potential than even you. Our side of the Akatsuki has never been stronger. A few hours later, Hinata, Itachi, and Minio did come back. But Itachi didn't seem to be happy to see Naruto at all. After having greeted everybody but Itachi, Naruto followed him inside the base. Itachi-san, what's wrong? Naruto asked. You failed your training, Naruto. Itachi said coldly. How? Naruto asked, a little angered. You cheated. We did strictly tell you not to use your demon powers while on the island. So why did you do it? Itachi asked. Itachi, I was dying. Would you rather have left me there to rest even before I could complete anything? Itachi was silent and avoided eye contact. You've changed, Itachi. Naruto said, shaking his head. No, Naruto, I haven't changed. The only thing that has changed is you. You became a man, so start acting like one. I now treat you with respect. I believe you can look after yourself now. I will not babysit you any longer. Itachi said, walking away from Naruto. So that's what it was? Naruto asked, extremely irritated. All this time with me and you thought you were babysitting? You're nothing but a power-hungry piece of worthless trash. Itachi whirled around without warning, swinging his powerful fist at Naruto's face. Bam! Naruto's arm was right there to block it. You're right, Naruto said. I'm not a kid anymore, so don't take me for one. If you can't deal with my words, then do something about it. But keep in mind that you're not the only one out here, Itachi. I'm stronger than you now. With that, Naruto turned his back to Itachi and headed for outside the base. I used to look up to you, Itachi, but all this time, I'm surprised I couldn't see past your mask. I never realized how filthy you really were. You would be mindful to watch your tongue. It seems your mouth has grown as well. A big mouth will get you K in this world, remember that. Itachi said as Naruto left the base. Kisame, why is Itachi-san being like this now? Naruto asked Kisame when he had met up with him. Kisame sighed. Naruto, you weren't supposed to use your demon powers. I know that you had no other choice, but you were too careless. Itachi seems more cold-hearted because he respects you as an Akatsuki member. As one of us, not a child that still needs to be trained. He looks at you as his equal. It may seem harsh at first, but then he'll settle down. There will be no punishment for using your demon powers. We've already talked and decided to give you a mission instead. A mission already? What kind of mission? Naruto asked, frowning slightly. A dangerous one. Definitely S-ranked. There is a shinobi interfering with our plans. She must be taken care of. Kisame said. Naruto's eyes widened with surprise. She. Are you sure this is an S-rank mission? Yes. She is much stronger than you know. Do not underestimate her. We will send you and Hinata. Hinata will be there for support in case you need it. But other than that, she won't get in your way. Remember, Naruto, this lady may say anything to try and get you to lower your guard down. Don't let it happen, she will K you at any costs. What's her name? Naruto asked. That is unknown. There is not much data that we have on her. Simply that she may cause all of our plans to crumble and fall apart. She must be taken care of within the next 48 hours. You can locate her moving from village to village, trying to find places to sleep where she can. She was last seen in the bird country. Locate her and assassinate her quickly. Your mission starts today. Whenever you're ready to go. Kisame said. I'm ready now. Naruto said. Aren't you exhausted from the fight we just had? Kisame asked. I'm not a little kid anymore, don't act like that. A mission is a mission, if it starts now, then now is when I'll go. Hinata, let's head out. Naruto said. With that they were off, dashing through the forest quickly, not knowing what lay ahead for them. Naomi, get out of here. A tall black-haired man shouted as he lay on the floor with a hole through his body. The man was unable to move anywhere. The woman called Naomi was blonde with blue eyes. She stood pretty tall, but shorter than most men. She looked horrified as Hinata came and beheaded her teammate that had cried out to her. Hinata didn't grow much since Naruto had last seen her. But she did grow in strength. She wore a tight dark blue outfit that fit her nicely. She also carried a sharp sword in its sheath around. She didn't have anywhere to hang it, so she just carried it in her hand. The woman named Naomi seemed to be frozen with fear. Is this the woman? Naruto asked Hinata. Hinata nodded. Yes, we've been spying on her for some time. This is her. But remember, don't let her fool you, Naruto, be careful. In his hand was a blue aura surrounding his whole arm. But seconds before the man could even touch Naruto, she quickly pulled it out and cleaned her sword once again as the man fell down to the ground lifeless. Naruto was pretty beat up from his previous fight with the muscular man. The woman only stood there in horror again. She stared straight at Naruto, who was now walking towards her. Your name seems to be Naomi, so listen up. Today, you will Naomi, any resistance will not be taken lightly. If you allow your death to come easily, then I will make it quick. I don't believe in painful deaths. But if you try to stop us, then I will do anything and everything within my power to take you down. Naruto, Hinata shouted. Don't talk, just get this over with. At that sentence, Naomi flinched, tears began to fall from her face. Naomi then smiled, wiping her tears from her dirty face. It's been such a long time. Naruto paid no attention to what she said but kept on walking. I can't let you just take my life like that. I still have things to do. I don't want to kill you, but if you attack, I will have no choice. Don't think that because you are young that I will spare you. Naomi said threateningly. Naruto smirked and then jumped in the air, disappearing. Bam bam bam. All of a sudden, 3 large trees were broken into pieces. Every single shard of tree trunk became as sharp as a spear. They were all heading towards Naomi with extreme speed. Tumaitai no jutsu. Naomi shouted, forming many hand seals so quickly that it seemed like she had only formed one. The spears came fast, but they didn't hit the target. Naomi just stood there as the spears of wood passed right through her body. Naomi was now a bit clear and transparent, as if she was a ghost. She quickly returned to normal after Naruto had shown himself in front of her. Impressive, he said with a smile. It all began as Naruto and Hinata rushed through the forest heading towards the bird country. They didn't have to travel very far because soon enough, they felt a presence of 3 powerful shinobi. It was not long until they had caught up to the place where the shinobi were. They were huddled looking at something together. Naruto and Hinata were right above them, spying for a short time. Naruto looked at Hinata as he pulled out a K with an exploding tag on it. Hinata nodded as she prepared her sword in its sheath. Naruto threw it down, landing on whatever the 3 shinobi were examining, and exploded. But unfortunately, the explosion didn't cause any harm to any of them. It simply caused each of them to dash through the forest in different directions. But that was the plan. Naruto chased after the most muscular man in the group. Hinata chose to pursue a dark man with black hair. The muscular man wasn't too fast, so Naruto had quickly caught up to him. He appeared directly in front of the man, stopping him in his tracks. I have no time for introductions, nor do I need to explain anything to you. Prepare yourself, Naruto said coldly. If the muscular man was frightened, then he did a good job of not showing it. He only formed many hand seals, shouting, Kyodai no Jutsu. In just a matter of seconds, the muscular man grew almost 3 times in size. His muscles bulged out as if they were going to explode. The coat the muscular man was wearing quickly ripped off, revealing a very tight and flexible suit that the man was wearing underneath. Naruto disappeared and reappeared behind the man's head high in the air. Naruto whirled around, swinging his right leg to the man's ear. It struck, but did not damage to the muscular man. In fact, it didn't even budge him. Naruto felt as if he had just kicked a rock, but he could have easily destroyed a boulder with that force. The man turned around and punched Naruto through many trees. Naruto disappeared while going through all of them and reappeared in front of the man, confronting him face to stomach. The man rushed at Naruto, attempting to punch his tiny body. Naruto jumped up and climbed up the man's humongous arm and gave another kick to his head and 2 punches as well. Naruto jumped off the man and out of range before the man could hit him back. Still nothing, the man didn't seem to be affected at all by Naruto's taijutsu attacks. Naruto then jumped up way into the air, all the way high up into the trees. He threw hundreds of needles down, shouting, Fukibari no Jutsu. Suddenly, Naruto had control of every single needle he threw down. He was controlling them with chakra. He directed them all to surround the muscular man and then clash with his body. They did that exact thing, but the needles all fell to the floor as they hit the man. Again, no effect. Before Naruto could even think of anything else to do, the muscular man took his turn shouting, Nichwaza Kabushi. The man punched up into the air at Naruto's general direction. The man was not nearly tall enough to reach Naruto, but his technique was. Suddenly, a slightly transparent fist flew at Naruto with an intense speed. Naruto had no time to dodge, the only option left was to block. Naruto put out his arms in front of him. Boom! The fist hit Naruto and sent him flying so far up into the air, that he could see the whole forest that he was just in. The man suddenly appeared way above him, shouting the same technique as he punched downwards to Naruto again. However, this time, it was 2 punches and not 1. Naruto was brought quickly to the ground with immense force by the first fist, and was at the bottom of a newly formed crater by the second. Naruto lay there in so much pain as the muscular man appeared beside his limp body. The man slowly bent over Naruto to lift him up. Naruto quickly drove his hand through the man's steel-hard stomach with all his force shouting, Kyuan no Jutsu. Naruto's fist penetrated. The man looked at Naruto in sorrow. Kyuan is the ability to suck dry every single one of your organs and muscles. This process only takes about 3 seconds to completely kill the victim. But for you it might take 10. The man quickly pulled away after 5 seconds. The man clutched his side as he returned back to regular size, which was still very muscular. Naruto then got up slowly and painfully and went to go find the third shinobi. Hinata stayed above the dark-haired man the whole time he ran. He was no match for her speed. The man turned around to face Hinata looking down on him. He had such a look of fear on his face. But a look of determination was in there as well. He used his hands to push himself back a few meters. The man sat down forming hand seals after having bit his thumb. He hit the ground quickly with an open palm shouting, Kuchio's no Jutsu. Suddenly, about 5 small short monkeys with smooth, brown fur half the size of Hinata appeared. They didn't look harmless at all, but very cute. But Hinata didn't care if they were strong or not, they were going to along with the man sitting down, leaving his fate in the hands of 5 short monkeys. Hinata first rushed to the one closest to her, bringing her sword above her head and then quickly down on the monkey's head. Something happened that she greatly did not expect. She looked in amazement as she saw that the monkey now had an exterior of not skin or fur, but metal even stronger than her sword. She jumped back and watched as the metal monkey turned back to normal. The man then spoke with a smile, those aren't just any monkeys, those are iron monkeys. They may be small, but they are fast, even when they have iron all around their body. Their punches can break any bone in your entire body. Can you deal with 5 of them? The man then stood up back on his feet again. So you healed them, huh? Hinata said unsurprisingly. The man then pointed at Hinata as the 5 monkeys dashed towards her. She dodged many attacks from all 5 monkeys as they all turned into metal. The man was right, they were fast. But Hinata could manage. It seemed that her sword would not work at all against these monkeys, so she would have to try something different. When she saw an opening, she used it to jump high into the trees. It's no use, the man shouted as the monkeys climbed after her. Don't forget that they are monkeys after all. Hinata then jumped down, flying past the monkeys as they followed right after. When they all landed, Hinata was about 10 meters away from all 5 monkeys. She prepared her sword as they all came rushing at her in metal form. The first monkey to arrive jumped into the air attempting to punch Hinata's face. Hinata stepped back a bit and drove the point of her sword into the monkey's metal head shouting, Bakuratsu no Jutsu. The monkey's metal exterior blasted away like pudding as the sword penetrated the head, causing it to explode. The man gasped in horror as Hinata shouted the same words and using the same technique on each of the 5 monkeys, killed them one by one. Finally, the man was left. Hinata walked towards the man with her sword prepared. I may not be able to turn like those monkeys on command, but I can still do it. The man formed many hand seals quickly as he shouted, Kabuzuru no Jutsu. Suddenly, he too was now completely covered in metal. Don't think your little technique will work on me like it did on the mindless monkeys. The man began to run towards Hinata, gaining speed every step of the way. Hinata raised her sword high up into the air straight at the sky saying, Shidinasan no Jutsu. Suddenly, the sky grew dark over them. A lightning bolt struck from the sky straight onto the man covered in metal. The lightning strike stopped him on his path, leaving him paralyzed. Hinata then ran towards the man shouting, Hitoteki no Jutsu. She swung her sword at the man even though she was still too far away. But a ghost-like appearance of her sword appeared flying straight at the man who was standing still. The sword swung like a propeller hitting the man's side, cracking the metal. Hinata swung again as a ghost of her sword flew at the man who was no damaged. She continued this process until she finally reached the man so that he was in range of her attack. By that time, the metal was cracked all over his body, ready to crumble even with a simple push to the ground. Hinata ended it like she ended it for the monkeys. The third shinobi suddenly appeared with a look of shock on her face as she witnessed what had just happened to the dark-haired man. Naomi, get out of here, he shouted. Naruto appeared a few seconds after that as well, leading up to the present moment. Naruto could not stop smiling after having witnessed Naomi do that phantom jutsu. His next attack was so sudden, that Naomi was not able to defend herself. Naruto went from a smiling stand-still position to disappearing and reappearing next to Naomi, spinning around, kicking her face, sending her whole body flying through the forest they were in. Naomi did not destroy one single tree as she was flying from the force of Naruto's kick. She was in phantom mode. Naruto then appeared ahead of Naomi as she headed his direction. He put out his hands in front of him and made a few hand seals and shouted as Naomi came, Shugo Amatsuki. A black ball appeared around Naruto, a barrier, like the one he had created to protect Sasuke many years ago. Naomi came like a speeding bullet. With her transparent self, she passed into the barrier, but she came out as her normal self. As Naomi stood up and looked at the large black ball, she could barely hear Naruto's voice from inside shouting, Release. At that exact moment, the black barrier exploded, expanding too fast for anybody to react at all. Naomi was caught in the explosion, which sent her flying farther into the forest. She skidded a long way across the ground when she finally landed. Naruto then appeared right by her as she stood up quickly. He was still smiling. Your phantom jutsu didn't work this time, did it? How is that possible? Naomi asked. Inside my barrier, neither ninjutsu nor genjutsu can be used. That's why you came out of the barrier in your simple form. Then I just made the barrier disappear by exploding. You were the only one harmed here. No matter what you try to defend yourself with, I'll always have a counterattack. Naruto did not budge whatsoever. He only shouted, Tumaitai no jutsu, as he clapped his hands together, turning into a phantom himself. Naomi's arm went directly though Naruto. What? How did you copy my ability? Naomi asked, confused once again. I don't need to explain myself to you. Naruto said, a little aggravated. It appears you are not the shinobi I thought you were. I can't fight you. Naomi shouted. I know, you can't, but it'll be over soon anyways. Naruto shouted. The fight was over, or so Naruto thought. Ha! Is that all you can do? You disappoint me, Naruto. Naomi's voice shouted, coming from above him. She sat down on a tree branch watching him as she smiled. So that was a bunshin, Naruto said out loud. If the bunshin was that strong, then how strong will the real one be? Don't think that you can simply K me that easily, she said. Hinata took a small step toward Naomi but stopped as Naruto said, Don't, Hinata. Remember what you're here for, support, but only if I need it. I don't. This is my fight. Naomi smiled as Naruto slowly walked towards her. That was a very poor decision. You are going to need more support than you know. Tajumizu Bunshin no Jutsu. Suddenly there were so many Naomis everywhere surrounding Naruto and Hinata. Then the original Naomi shouted, Bakuratsu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Every single bunshin ran toward Naruto and Hinata with their arms open as if they were going to give them a hug. Oh shoot! Naruto shouted, rushing to Hinata, spinning around shouting, Shugo Ametsuchi. The black barrier appeared around them once again like it had done before. Naomi smiled. Not that again. If it didn't work last time, what makes you think it's going to last this time? Each bunshin cannon exploded into water, splashing on top of the black barrier of chakra. After the hundreds of bunshins had exploded, there was a second barrier surrounding Naruto's barrier, which was made completely out of water. This isn't good, Hinata said, a little scared. We could Naruto. That was a stupid move of you. She has already got past this before. Now we are trapped in this barrier. Naruto spoke calmly. Don't ever show any sign of fear to your opponents, it's a sign of weakness. You will only be at an even larger disadvantage. I'm sorry, she said. Naruto said nothing but simply kept looking around. What are we going to do? Shush, Naruto said. Naomi smiled as she said, goodbye Naruto. Raiten Shidinasan no Jutsu. A lightning bolt came and struck the water barrier, magnifying the power of the electricity. Naruto's barrier crumbled before it as the water rushed in on them. Naruto and Hinata fell to the ground extremely exhausted and in pain, soaking wet. So you're still alive? Naomi asked, laughing. You are alive but barely. Naruto gasped for air as he grasped his chest. Hinata laid stiff right next to him. He looked to his side to see his limp comrade. Hinata! Naruto screamed as he sat straight up looking at the Hyuga. Hinata! Naruto shouted as tears rolled down his face. He shook her body but nothing happened. He then looked at his opponent in fury, saying through his gritted teeth, Your S. Your S. He stood up but then fell back down in pain. Naomi laughed. I warned you Naruto. I can't S yet. It seems you're not strong enough to beat me yet. And it seems you never will be after today. You're wrong. Hinata said as she opened her eyes and stood up holding her sword in her right hand and its sheath in her left. What? How are you unharmed? Naomi asked, confused. Poof. Naruto's body disappeared and the real Naruto appeared behind Naomi, pinning her down to the floor. Allow me to explain, Hinata said, smiling. I use all kinds of elemental techniques with my sword. But that's not the only thing it can do, I can absorb those elemental techniques as well. Naruto was always behind you, only hiding extremely far away. The Bunshin summoned up the barrier, putting us both there in case you would use any kind of elemental magic to destroy the barrier. That way, I could absorb whichever elemental attack you gave us, and nobody could be harmed. When Naruto said he wanted me to stay back, that was all an act. It's foolish to try and be hard-headed like that. It can get yourself K, that's one of the first things we learned in our training. The only thing you managed to do, was get me wet, but in exchange, you are now pinned to the ground. Say goodbye Naomi. Hinata walked over, raising her sword over her head ready to decapitate Naomi. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu. Naomi disappeared into the ground beneath them. Naruto stood up since he didn't have Naomi pinned anymore, looking around. Be careful, she could be anywhere underground, she could even be in the trees. I can take care of the trees part. Hinata said, swinging her sword low to the ground, creating another ghost-like image of it as it flew see the trees down to the floor. She did this several times until Naruto and she were standing in an open space with all of the trees lying horizontally on the ground. Kaiten, Yakedo no Jutsu. All the trees suddenly disintegrated into ashes, leaving them in a very large open field. Naomi appeared a few meters away from Naruto and Hinata. She was kneeling close to her muscular comrade. She laid her hand on his head, feeling the hole that Hinata had made with her sword. She was in tears as she said, I know we made this promise, so I'm going to keep it. But I want you to know, that I won't let you all S in vain. I don't want to do this, but I can win with this. Sabaki no Jutsu. Just then, the muscular man was gone, in an instant, all of his remains, and everything else disappeared. Naomi then went over to her other teammate and did the same. She stood up looking straight at her opponents. Don't think that I will let you escape after what you have done. We weren't planning on running away. Naruto said as he and Hinata prepared to fight. Naomi then clenched her fists tightly and raised her right arm up and struck the ground with all her might, creating a crater where the forest used to be. The ground beneath Hinata and Naruto crumbled as they fell down to the very middle of the humongous crater. Before they could hit the ground, Naomi appeared under them, catching them, shouting, Kusari no Jutsu. As she held them both tightly close to her, a very large chain appeared out of nowhere and surrounded the three tightly together, going around and around, each time tightening the hold it had on them. Soon enough, none of them could breathe as they were all chained up together. I definitely had other plans, but I don't think I can complete them anymore. Naomi said softly. If I'm going to go, you all will go with me as well. I've created this crater because that's how big the explosion will be, that way we won't harm anyone else. I won't let you two harm this earth any longer. Kaiten, Suja Sausai no Jutsu. Don't be crazy, Naruto said, gasping for air. Just to take us out. You coward. Call me a coward, but you both will right here and right now. In a few seconds it will be over. You look so much like your father Naruto, Naomi said. What? How do you know about my father? Naruto asked. Hinata was next to speak. We will not allow ourselves to under this jutsu. Your death as well as your comrades' deaths were all in vain. Goodbye, Uzumaki Naomi. What? Uzumaki? Naruto asked. But he couldn't do or say anything else. Hinata see the large chains with brute force and grabbed Naruto, leaving the crater just in time to escape the large explosion. Naomi was gone. So I see you didn't know until now. Well, I guess you didn't know that you both are two of the last 3 Uzumaki family members there are on this earth. The rest are S. Sora said as he rested his foot on top of Ketsu's head. All this time, he had no idea that Naomi, Uzumaki Naomi, was his mother. He had his own mother. Naruto fell to his knees covering his face as he cried out loud screaming. Hinata was there right next to him patting him on the back trying to soothe him. Naruto cried for a few minutes, but then stopped as he realized something. Hinata. Yes Naruto. Hinata asked still patting him on the back. You said, that you didn't know her name. But in fact, all this time, you knew that she was my mother didn't you? Naruto then stood up and backed away from Hinata a little with tears in his eyes. Naruto, try to understand. Hinata said. Try to understand what? You want me to understand why you let me kill my own mother? What kind of sick person are you? Naruto screamed in anger. Naruto, they told me not to tell you. I wanted to so much, but I couldn't. They said that it would affect your judgment, and she was a deep threat to our clan. We couldn't have her alive, and that's why they didn't tell you. If they did, you wouldn't have killed her. You would have failed yet another mission. And now it's done, and I'm glad that I didn't tell you. You may be hurt now, but you did a great job. She could have ruined us completely, and now she is gone. We won't have to worry about her anymore. Hinata said. You're glad that I lost my own mother. You don't understand Hinata. There were only 3 of us left. My brother, my mother, and me. I've grown up wondering all my life, never knowing about my heritage. And just when I get close, she's gone, just like that. Naruto explained. Well then hang on to what you have. You still have something Naruto, a brother. Look at me, I don't have anything at all. I didn't know anything, all I know is that I suddenly woke up and I'm some kind of weapon, some kind of tool that can start wars. How do you think I feel? But I keep on living. I keep on living for the only family I know, the Akatsuki. I will gladly give my life for them, they would do the same. Hinata said bringing herself to tears just like Naruto. They protect you with their lives only because you have some kind of untouched potential that leads to great power. If you didn't have that, then you wouldn't be here. Naruto said harshly. Hinata looked at Naruto in disgust. So what? Even if I am just being used, they still protect me, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for what I have, even though it's not much. I never asked for this life, I've always wished to be normal, that's all I knew when I woke up. But you know what? I'm not normal, but I hold on to the little I have because there's nothing else for me. I accept who I am. Why can't you? You have much more than me, yet you are still complaining. Why? Why are you so selfish? Hinata asked. You wouldn't know how I feel Hinata. You don't even have a true family to begin with, and, Naruto stopped in mid-sentence realizing what he had just said. Hinata only cried even more, holding her sword and sheath very tightly in her hands. I'm not going to deal with this. Let's go back, we've got to give them a full report. Come on. Hinata walked by Naruto and grabbed his arm. He pulled away quickly screaming, don't touch me. You can never understand what I'm feeling right now. I can't go back, not after this. I can't believe they would use me like this. I can't believe that they would use us like this. I don't belong with them Hinata. I can't go back, I won't go back. Then where are you going to go? Hinata asked shouting angrily. I don't know. Anywhere but back, I'm going away from here. I don't think I will be coming back, goodbye Hinata. Naruto said taking steps away from his former comrade. You know, when I first saw you, you stood up for me, fighting Sasori just so he would stay away from me. I saw a certain light in you. That light gave me hope when you were gone away on your training. Hope that you would come back and we could be together like a family. Now, that light is gone. I'm starting to realize the kind of person you are, an ungrateful shinobi with mixed feelings who doesn't know his place. Where is your loyalty to the people that have cared for you since you were a baby? Hinata asked. It's gone, Naruto said, still facing away from her. It's gone along with the light you once saw to me. I am only loyal to myself, and my brother. He's the only thing I have left. He's the thread I hang on to in this miserable life. We believe in completely different things, Naruto. I don't know if I can ever see you the same way again, Hinata said sadly. Maybe it would be better for everyone if you didn't come back. Naruto said nothing but only disappeared in the distance, running in the opposite direction of their base. Hinata headed back to inform her family of the incidents that had taken place. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.